Hello, today is the 9th of April 2021. Temperatures are very pleasant. They have been in the mid 60s to mid 80s, perhaps upper 80s here in the southeast of the US. I'd like to discuss today a quick topic. I won't drag it too long today. It's about efficiency. I want to share what efficiency means to me and perhaps share a few ideas of how to achieve efficiency in the sense of savings of effort, saving energy, saving as far as work, conserving what you have, or make it not to preserve it permanently, but to make it last longer, make it more useful, have it do more work for you. Have your things, your machines, your body, your property, your money, your assets do more things for you. It is only natural that we would want this. This is very desirable, because that means that we can not only leave a smaller footprint, but we can do more and perhaps leave a larger legacy and have a more positive impact, bigger and better positive impact on the planet, on the world, on your family, on yourself, your community, those around you, etc. So efficiency, just to define it in my own words, efficiency to me is basically, again, as I mentioned, saving effort. Not to do less, but to do more. Saving effort to do either the same or more as you would if you were not saving as much. I believe wholeheartedly is very possible to do more with less. In other words, to do more of what you conventionally, traditionally, usually, commonly do with the same amount or less than what you have. When I say amount, I mean assets, property, equipment, energy, whatever amount or unit you want to put to it, measurement, whether it's with your money, whether it's with, let's say, your car. You can make it do more just by being a little smart about it, by being methodical, by doing a little bit of math, by planning a little bit ahead. You can make everything work better, work longer, work harder, work smarter, do more for you. And again, this I believe to be true wholeheartedly. And that is, in my estimation, in my mind, my words, what efficiency is. Efficiency can be defined in many different ways depending what you're talking about. Of course, I'm defining it here in the broad sense of the word. Basically a general or generic, overarching, blanketing sense of the word. So being efficient, let's begin with just yourself, your body, your person. Being efficient means getting the most energy from the food you eat. Think about all of the animals that have to die to keep you up and running. All of the vegetables that need to be harvested, cut, whether it's vegetables, fruits, roots, leaves, grasses, whatever you eat, that stuff needs to be harvested. Animals need to be slaughtered. Hundreds of them per year. Many pounds, hundreds of pounds of meat per year. Perhaps a little less in weight of other vegetables. Many pounds. Hundreds of pounds perhaps of fruits. If you're a big fruit eater, vegetable eater, grain eater, we're talking about hundreds and hundreds, perhaps thousands of pounds of food per year. And the question is, are you using all of that energy as efficiently as you can? As efficiently as you can be using it. In all honesty, many of us have to answer in the negative. Me being guilty of that myself. Don't claim to be a Puritan or an authority as far as using up or being efficient with my energy. But when you think about it, all of that food, all of those animals, especially those animals that need to be slaughtered, that's one thing I think about once in a while. Man, a lot, too many. All those chickens, cows, pigs, bulls, cattle, all of those fish, all of those, whatever else people eat, deer for some. And a lot of us sit around for a little too long, sleep around, be idle. A lot of us just waste our lives in meaningless things. Waste our lives doing senseless things, many destructive things at times. So not only are we idle unnecessarily, a lot, many of us, but we're also destructive, also unnecessarily, and also a lot. In many instances, me being guilty of such crimes myself. So, what to do? Be efficient. Think about all the energy that's being invested in you. Think about all the trucks that need to transport all the food you eat. Just break the energy that you consume. Put it apart from the energy that everyone else consumes. And think about the transport costs involved with let's say you eat, 5,000 pounds of food per year, all combined. To transport 5,000 pounds from coast to coast, which is what it takes quite a bit to transport food, is quite a bit of cost. Think about the wage you have to pay that trucker. The truck that needs to be employed, hired. The companies, the logistic companies that need to be involved. The farm that needs to be involved, the multiple farms, the multiple industries, meat packing, slaughterhouses, the amount of energy that need to be involved. It's a network. Yes, I know you don't take the whole industry of anything, but you do take a small part, and it does add up over a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years, 20 years. However long you've been consuming food, which is all your life. Think about all those years and the amount of resources that have to be poured into you, just you, let alone all of us. It is immense. You're taking advantage of a network, a conglomerate of industries working 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to produce, to store, to transport, to distribute all of that food. Think about all the stores that need to be in place, supermarkets, warehouses, their personnel. All of that needs to be in place for you to consume energy. So that's even more energy. A little bit of the energy required by each one of those people employed to support your food needs is also energy invested in you. So it is almost incalculable the amount of energy that goes into one human being when it takes when you count or when you consider all of the worldwide network involved in producing, again, managing, transporting food. So you need to think about that, and when you think about it that way, you realize how much energy you actually consume. And are you putting as big at a percentage of that energy into use as possible? You will never output the same amount of energy you consume as the one you intake. If you consider it this way, with the worldwide network of industries that need to work to produce food for you, then that makes it even more impossible. If you just look at the caloric intake, if I'm saying that word right, omitting and just ignoring everything else, that all the other energy that needs to go into producing that food and getting it to you. If you ignore all that, just looking at the caloric intake, amount of calories you take, even that you cannot output it in any way, shape, or form at 100% or at the same rate, at the same amount, because your body is not a perfect machine or a perfect organism. It is not 100% efficient. No machine or organism is. But let's say you are a 40% efficient organism. That is the maximum your body could output as far as work, as far as, force. But let's call it work, which is the amount of things you can do, the amount of positive or productive work you can do in a given amount of time. So you're maxed out, let's say, at 40%, like biologically and physically maxed out at 40%. You take 100% food, you only can put out 40%. Biologically, that's, I think, a pretty good estimation of what the actual efficiency is of a human being. Yes, there are differences between human beings, of course, physical, biological. If you're talking about a world-class athlete, like a cyclist that outputs tremendous amount of energy, let's say during a bike race, of course, yes, that human can put probably a lot more than 40%, but let's just talk about average, and let's accept it at 40%. Then, even then, with that being our biological max, most of us, I'm bold to say, don't even go close to that 40%. Most of us cut off, most likely, at 10 or 15. Disturbingly and sadly, and depressingly enough. Because a lot of us don't go nowhere near our biological limit. That's why I'm saying this. If you've ever been almost to the point of collapsing, from working, and almost to the point of basically passing out of hunger and thirst, then you know you are near your biological limit output, from energy, putting out energy, and as compared to the energy you've taken in. If you're at the brink of passing out, then you are near that maximum, which I believe to be somewhere about 40%. And not too many of us can claim we've been near that brink. We've been near that limit. I haven't. And I suspect majority of you have not either. Yes, I've worked, very hard at times to where I'm tired, but I could have gone for a day or two more without eating at any one given point, even during the worst and hardest of work days. So let's accept that, as weak an estimation it may be, and we can begin to appreciate how inefficient we are. How can we make that efficiency a little better? Well, first begin by eating better. More quality foods mean better efficiency. That is just something that is obvious. We've been told about this repeatedly by expert after expert, scientist after scientist, doctor after doctor. Of course, you eat quality foods, you're going to have better performance, period. And your body will be able to run better, faster, smoother, healthier. So balance your diet, improve your diet. That's just stating the obvious. Next thing would be to use that energy. Let's pause a little bit and back up. Not only improving your food quality will improve the efficiency at which your body can use energy, but exercising or living an active lifestyle, to include some exercise if you're not employed fully in an active lifestyle. Many jobs require you to be very active. In that case, you need to make sure that you stretch and do calisthenics before you begin your work day. If you're very physically active during your work, and you need not to do extra exercise. You may not need to do extra, especially strenuous exercise. But if you're sitting on your butt, on your behind, on your ass all day long, of course, you need to offset that with exercise, probably strenuous exercise such as jogging and other forms of strenuous exercise, calisthenics, whatever, cardio, cardiovascular exercises. So yeah, exercise will make not only your body, or regular active work will make your body use energy better. But where I was going with this is that you need to make sure that you are doing positive things, making positive gain, making good things by taking good decisions, making sound judgments. You can put that energy and that work to good use. That is one way to be efficient. You cannot be efficient and do destructive things. In most cases. In some cases, yes, it is necessary. You may need to demolish a home to build a new one. You may need to step back to jump over a pothole, or a stream to get ahead. But these are the exceptions. You must make forward movements, forward gain as much as possible. And for this, we need to make good decisions, sound decisions. You know what the good decisions are. That's what we learn. That's what we have experiences. If something that you've done in the past has not or did not work good, or did not bear good fruit, did not give you good results, then make different decisions. There are some exceptions to this. Some decisions are good and have either null or bad outcomes because of other factors. But you'll know when this is the exception. But bad decisions are usually recognized as bad even before you make them. And we must learn from our lessons and make forward gains, forward movements as much as we can. Make good use of your time. Waste no time. Not only during work, but also time to rest. Make good use of your rest time. Make sure that you can get good rest. Another way to make your body more efficient is by getting not only good, long enough rest, but also quality rest. Drink no caffeine anywhere close to bedtime. 8 hours prior to bedtime, you need to put that coffee cup down, or whatever other caffeinated drink. You may want to, it's recommended not to pick that caffeinated cup or drink up at all. That will improve your sleep even better, or improve it by a whole lot. If you are or used to be a drinker of these drinks, experts have found that caffeine does decrease your quality of sleep, however little you may take. And doesn't matter what time of day. It could be in the morning. Caffeine has a half-life of 8 hours. That means half of its effect will fade in 8 hours. The other half will fade in another 8 hours. So that's 16 hours. If you're like the average person, or I'm not sure about the average, but a very large amount of people, if you have a cup of coffee or two in the morning, 16 hours after, you will still have residual effects of caffeine, disturbing and disrupting your sleep, however mild it may be. Let alone if you drink coffee anywhere after noontime. Just imagine, where half of its effect is still active 8 hours after. So let's say you have a cup at 2 p.m. 8 hours after that, 10 o'clock at night, you're still having the effects of caffeine. Half of its effects are still active. Quite strong effects, disrupting and diminishing the quality of your sleep. So think about that. Again, sleep on a schedule. Sleep as much as you can. Sleep, but not overly so. Not too much, because you know how long it takes for you to get a good rest, to wake up rested. You don't have to sleep more than that. That's just wasting time and energy. Idling too much. Wasting precious seconds. Precious heartbeats that could be put into work. That could be put into positive actions. The world needs you out here. Don't spend an extra minute in bed that you don't need to. So that's something I recommend quite highly. Use your time wisely. Turn off that TV. It's taking up your time needlessly. Yes, you need to relax and come down. Television is known to disrupt your sleeping quality, your sleeping pattern, especially late at night. Guilty of that myself. Right before bed, it is recommended by experts not to watch TV. So if you're used to watching TV right before bed, then you're used to the wrong thing. You have a negative and destructive and disruptive habit that I highly recommend you adjust, and that will make you more efficient. Good eating, good exercising, good active lifestyle, good hydration. Let me put that in there. You must hydrate as recommended by the experts. Again, there go the experts. Good hydration, good diet, good sleep, good exercise. That will get you on your way to being highly efficient. It is by no accident that the militaries of the world use these 3 things: diet, hydration, 4 things: exercise, and good rest. That's a recipe for their high performance troops, soldiers, airmen, seamen, and sea women, and air women. So it is by no accident. They have studied this, designed it, researched it over and over again. They have people on payrolls making sure that they have the best information to have the best performance from their military members. So I would follow the same. I would take advantage of that study, those studies, those efforts from those experts that have been verified over and over, very highly paid, and very much verified again over and over. And that jumps to my next point. To be efficient, use the information available, good information available from the efforts of others. Use the efforts of others to the advantage of you and others. Don't waste time on things that have already been done. Don't reinvent the wheel. If at all possible, you may not know, you may not be aware of, others' inventions, others' efforts. But when you do, when you become aware, also do due diligence to find out whether things have been already done and studied, and do yourself a big favor. Don't follow the first thing you see out there without verifying it. There is, especially now in the information age, a lot of good information and a lot of bad information. You will be able to pick out, if you have judgment, good research ethics, a little bit of education and training and common sense, and good impartial judgment. You will find out what information is good, what the information is bad. If a piece of information has been verified by many different parties of perhaps different views, then you know that information is most likely reliable. If an information comes from a small group, a single person, that information is not necessarily unreliable, but is less reliable than the ones that have been peer-reviewed, verified, conducted studies on, looked at by many people, reviewed. There is safety in numbers in many cases. Very, very few exceptions. Studies, that's why science is, I believe, so important, because it provides a way to verify any and everything with the physical world. No other system comes close. So that is something that I believe you must value. You must value science. You must value statistics. You must value the power of measurement, which is mathematics, numbers. Again, statistics. When you have an amount of something that's measurable, and you gather information about that amount, and you notice a difference. For example, the amount of people that die of certain disease, and you look at their diet versus the amount of people that die of another disease. You look at their diet and their habits. That is stuff that's measurable, that's been studied. Then you know what a good and bad diet is, and what diseases are more likely to be present depending on what people's diets are like heart disease, if you have too much of a fatty diet, and things like that. Yes, there are other factors, but you can quantify whether something is harmful or not. And by looking at statistics, you can determine a lot of other things. Again, studies, science, any kind of measure looks at statistics, which is pretty much measurements. That's all the statistics is. Measurements of things, and using different methods, mathematical or other methods, you can quantify and draw conclusions or draw many different types of probabilities from those measurements. So value that. I would recommend use it to your advantage and others, and that will make you a more efficient person. Also, with the things you do, there is certain ways to do things more efficient. Methods, steps, whatever you want to call it. It's just the way of doing things makes things more efficient. You may be able to lift the box many different ways, but there are only a few or maybe one way that is the most efficient. Same thing with just about everything you do. Find out what the best method is to do that. If you're unsure, you may quickly develop the best way on your own because it's obvious, or you may have to do a little digging, find out, ask, go on the internet, find out what the best way is or has been for others, decide whether this is true by verification or other methods. It could be as simple as just you deciding whether it's bullshit or whether it's good. Also, just to wrap up, efficiency, at the personal level. Be organized. Be organized because organization will make things around you much more useful. It will make them available. Just think of organization as having a pile of junk or a pile of items, one on top of each other. That's disorganization. Let's say a pile of things about your height high is somewhere stored in a room. All useful things, very useful tools, very useful materials, very useful technologies, whatever. There's computers, tablets, there's wrenches, tools, hammers, nails, screws, nuts, bolts, all kinds of stuff is piled up, head high. And you need to do a job using items that are in there. It's all in there. Everything you need for let's say, a big job that you're going to get paid for, it's in there, and you need to do it you need to do the job with many parts from that, many tools, many items from that pile in a certain amount of time. Versus, let's say, the next person has half of what you have in that pile and needs to do the same job, and let's say he or she has half of the tools available to do the job with. I venture to say that person, let's describe it a little more. That person has half of the items available to do the job with, but he or she has them highly organized, labeled, sorted out, spread out, where she or he can reach each item, get each item very quickly, very efficiently, without tripping over any other item. He or she can pick a tool, an equipment, an item, material at the snap of a finger. You, however, have to dig through it, lift things, move things, throw things around to find any item. You probably won't be able to complete any part of your job, if any, very little, in the amount of time required or given to do the job. In exchange or in contrast, that other person can probably complete the job a lot more, complete a lot more of the job in less time that was required, with less tools and less materials. Perhaps complete the job before the time is up with a fraction of the tools available. That is the power of organization, my friends. That is the power of sorting, the power of labeling, the power of access. That is one thing that makes you efficient. Organization means access to things. Access saves time, saves effort, saves money, saves fill in the blank. In turn, makes more money, makes time. There's no such thing as making time, but in saving time, you are allowing that time or more time to be used in other things. And labeling, you quickly can sort things out, make use of automated systems, computer systems, to label, sort, and things will be done quicker, better, faster, thus improving your efficiency. So that's as in the personal level. Let's say in technology, let's use a vehicle. This is a monstrous topic, so I'm gonna keep it just at these two topics, subtopics. Efficiency at the personal level and efficiency, let's say, on the road with your vehicle. Most of us today drive gas-operated vehicles, perhaps gasoline. Most likely, gasoline is the most popular fuel. It has worked. It has been almost perfected for the last over 100 years of the technology being developed. It's commercialized. But yet we use too much energy driving our vehicles, more than we have to, a lot more. Gasoline or other fuels that you may use, diesel in some cases. Some vehicles use other fuels like propane. You may have a vehicle that drives on natural gas. You may have some vehicle that drive on other fuels, perhaps kerosene, whatever. The point is the same. You use too much fuel, most likely, because of the way you drive. You either drive too fast to places. Physics tells us that the faster you go, the more a machine will require fuel. So you can travel the same distance at half the time and use much more fuel, perhaps more than twice as much as you would if you would travel the same distance in twice the amount of time. And I believe this to be a little offset, or a lot offset, to the advantage. It is a lot more advantageous to take a little more time, because taking a little more time, I think, saves a lot more fuel, a lot more energy than what you save by cutting down in time driving. Let's say you got to make it from point A to point B. You can either go at 50 miles per hour or at 70 miles per hour. The amount of time that you will save by driving at 70 miles per hour is nowhere near the amount of energy that you're going to use driving at 50. And by saving, let's say you get there 5 minutes earlier driving at 70, and then you get there 5 minutes later driving at 50. What are you going to do in those 5 minutes that you just saved, but however wasted? Let's say you wasted about $20 more in gasoline. Very, very few things will make up the extra $20 that you spent in gasoline that you can do in those 5 minutes. Very, very few things. And that's for one trip. So just think about the savings that it will bring you in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years by saving gasoline and time. The way you drive your vehicle, also the faster you drive it, not only the less efficient you're going to be in gasoline consumption, but the more you're going to spend on other maintenance requirements for your vehicle, especially your brakes. Your brakes will wear out more because you're going to have to stop from a higher speed. It's physics. These things just are unforgivable. They won't forgive. Your brake system will need more maintenance. You will need to change more brake pads, more disc brakes, or brake discs, brake drums if you have them. You will use up more of your tires by braking more. You will use more of your engine life by accelerating more and quicker, and by running your engine at high RPMs. That is just physically necessary all the time. You cannot work your way around it. It's just going to happen. You will also be more stressed out. I mean, the list goes on and on. Slow your speed and do more. It is counterintuitive at times, but when you think about it, it makes all the sense in the world. Slow your speed and do more. You could apply that to just about everything else. Slow, steady progress will get you farther. Just look at drinking coffee. You can chug 2 cups of coffee and attempt to do a whole lot in a short time, but the person that's nice and steady that drank orange juice will outlast you by a factor of days and do more. Get up in the morning, chug 2 cups of coffee, and compare that to a person that chugs 1 cup of orange juice. Slow and steady, that orange juice drinking person will outlast you, guaranteed, again, by days. Meaning they will keep going for days past when you have, pretty much collapsed. So think about this. Slow and steady progress will almost always be better than fast and quick bursts. Sometimes fast and quick bursts are necessary. You will know when these are necessary, but for the most part, 80-20, I believe wholeheartedly that slow and steady is always better. Not always, again, but most of the time. Again, 80-20. So, driving your vehicle, your driving style could make it a lot more efficient for you. And that is what you can control. One of the things you can control, yes, you can use better fuel. I am going to do a quick study as far as, well, I'm going to find out and update this chat on the efficiency of fuels to see exactly whether the grade of the fuel, you know that gasoline, perhaps other fuels have different grades. Usually, labeled as regular, medium, or premium. They also have an octane level. I believe it's, something in the 83, 87, and 92, or low 80s, mid 80s, and low 90s, I believe, octane level. And I want to find out exactly which one is actually more efficient. You may pay a little more, but that fuel may take you farther and end up costing you less in the long run. I don't know. I'm going to have to either find out if this has been done and it has been verified, and I will update you on that. So the fuel is something you can do about efficiency. It could be compared to food in your body, but it may not be the same, especially with the cost of the fuel. Cost difference. You could do something about several other things, like the oil in your car. Perhaps better oil will make your car run more efficient. Maintenance, tires, types of tires, of course. If you have thinner tires, there's less drag, less friction. You may be able to be more efficient. However, that may hurt you on your braking capability, efficiency. You may not be able to stop as much with thinner tires. There's a balance there, so that's something that you may need to consider, look at. Also, the aerodynamics in your car. If you have a Jeep, for example, a box on wheels, you will and cannot be as aerodynamically efficient as if you had a car that's basically shaped like an egg, or dimaxium, which I believe to be the most efficient and aerodynamically efficient shape there is. So yes, your car needs to be very aerodynamic, smooth curves to break up the wind and air as it travels through the atmosphere. Will go a long way. That's why a lot of trucks have been aerodynamic for a long time, and they some of them continue to improve their aerodynamics. Cars, some have done the same. Some have gone the other direction, have become more boxy, and or have kept their boxy shapes for many decades. Again, Jeeps, Hummers, many pickup trucks are very inefficient in their aerodynamics. That's something you want to consider. And using the machine, such as your vehicle, the best machine for the job. This may not be a choice for many of us that have only one or two cars. You cannot possibly apply different vehicles for different jobs. Of course, if you're going to travel 500 miles with one person in a vehicle, the optimal option would be to have a vehicle just big enough for one person that is highly aerodynamic, highly efficient. But this is hardly the case. Most vehicles carry from 2 to 4 people, regardless how many people occupy that vehicle at any one point. And this may not be a choice for you. You may not be able to, or may not have, a one-person vehicle that is highly aerodynamic and efficient. So, but you may be able to make a choice. You may be able to purchase a vehicle that's highly efficient for most of your travels. You may not need a truck. You may not need that big SUV. You may not need that big Hummer. So being smart, being conscious about your investment in a vehicle can go a long way, make you that much more efficient. Yes, there may be times that you need the truck, but if you estimate that you will only need a truck very few times during the year, perhaps to move furniture here and there, you may want to consider just renting during those times and just go to your office job in your very small, efficient vehicle. That 99.9% of the time you don't need the truck. So be smart about your investment in a vehicle. Your vehicle is a very large investment for most of us as compared to the amount of money that you make in a year, in a lifetime, in a working career. So do consider that. Also, one thing you can do about your vehicle is what you don't do to your vehicle to be more efficient. You can not do a lot of things to your vehicle and be as efficient as you can be. Some things not to do to your vehicle: add rims and fat tires. You cannot add rims and fat tires to your vehicle and be efficient, more efficient. You cannot add that spoiler to your vehicle and be more efficient. You cannot turn on that air conditioning during those times and days that is good outside, pleasant outside, and you're not driving down the highway at high speeds. And you can crack your windows and be more efficient. You can be more efficient by not turning on your AC or heat if the weather is good enough for you not to do that. Again, you cannot drive at the maximum speed limit or more. Some people speed a lot, meaning that they go above the speed limit and save on gas a lot. You cannot accelerate too fast and save a lot of energy. There's a lot of things you cannot do and save on energy, save on gas for your vehicle. Adding protruding things, protruding items such as wings, winglets, spoilers, stuff like that to vehicles can add to the drag, can add to or disrupt the engineered aerodynamics of a vehicle. So think about that. You can also modify a vehicle to make it more aerodynamic. You can add a bed, a truck bed cover to make a pickup truck, for example, a little more aerodynamic, slightly. You can add perhaps, maybe spoilers, which the spoilers I believe to be the front end of a vehicle, make it a little lower, by the bumper, basically making the profile of your vehicle a little less or a little more aerodynamic by redirecting wind away from wheels, maybe a little bit. This may not help a whole lot, may not help at all. You need to find out, depending on the type of vehicle. A lot of trucks, trailer trucks, rigs, 18-wheelers have been adding spoilers to the sides of their trailer to redirect wind away from the tires, the rear tires, and from the bottom of the trailer itself. And I guess this has been found out, has been proven to increase aerodynamics and increase fuel savings. I believe this to be true because a lot of companies have been making this investment, and I very highly doubt all of these companies will make this investment without noticing and finding out that it does save a lot of fuel costs. In fact, more than the investment to make this retrofit, to add this to their equipment. You can also, when you buy, when you trade, when you acquire a vehicle in one way or another, you may want to consider the shape of the vehicle, the body style of the vehicle, the shape, aerodynamic shape. You may also want to consider the amount of power that the vehicle outputs. Remember, machines output a lot of energy if they're given a lot of energy. So a bigger output engine will intake a lot more energy, meaning gasoline in most cases. So you may not need that V8. You may not need that F350, Ford F350, if you're not going to be hauling a yacht quite often. You may not need all that power. You may not need, yes, it may be nice and convenient at times, but consider how seldom you have to use that amount of power, and consider the amount of money that is going to waste, the amount of energy that is going to waste 99.9% of the time. My threshold, I would recommend others to use this threshold, would be the 80-20 threshold. 80-20 makes 100. If you're going to be hauling something 80% of the time, then you may want to go with that truck that will haul that item, you know, with full capacity, or maybe a little more. If you're going to haul that boat or yacht 80% of your time because you have a business that hauls something that big or heavy, then yes, you may want to consider buying that F350. If you're going to only do it 20% of the time, then you may want to consider not getting that F350. Maybe you can settle for that F250 or F150. Okay, so think about that. And I will leave it at that. There are many more things to discuss about efficiency. I will leave it at that for now. I've been going over an hour. If you have any other comments, questions, concerns, ideas about this topic, please leave them on this website. I would like to read them and hear from you. Again, being efficient is quite important, and something that will make your life as a whole more satisfying and more useful for yourself and others. Thank you very much.